This Week in Richmond is made possible in part by the Virginia Education Association. An investment in teachers today will pay dividends tomorrow. Dignity Memorial. The Dignity Network provides professional and compassionate funeral, memorial, cremation, and cemetery services throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. Virginia Hospital and Healthcare Association for jobs, the economy, and public health, committed to advancing health and economic opportunity for all Virginians. Virginia Tourism Corporation, promoting why Virginia is for lovers, lovers of wine and craft beers, the outdoors, beaches, history, music, and more. Fall in love with Virginia at virginia.org. Additional support provided by these sponsors. And by the members of Virginia's public television stations. Thank you.
Welcome to This Week in Richmond, and a very special welcome back to Commissioner John Newby, Commissioner of the Virginia Department of Veteran Services. We're delighted to have you on because there's always news about veterans in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But this is no stranger to you. Before you started in this position a few years ago, a son of a Major Sergeant, I believe. Sergeant Major, reversed that in the Army, yes, and then a captain in the Air Force yourself, yes, with service in Iraq and distinguished service. So we appreciate what your leadership over these years with the Department of Veteran Services, and really interested in having your update our viewers on some of the main topics, whether it's homelessness or care centers or what's happening in benefits offices. Okay. What's the good news?
Sure, lots of good news. So first of all, thanks for having me back again. It's been an honor to serve the Commonwealth and the Commonwealth's veterans in this capacity. When the governor came on board back in 2014, he made veterans one of his primary missions, and I think that he, with his leadership, with the Secretariat's leadership, as well as the General Assembly, we've borne some fruit in the past 3.5, nearly 4 years when it comes to veterans. Probably the next thing that the Commonwealth will see is a ribbon cutting, or groundbreaking, I should say, for 2 new Veterans Care Centers in Virginia. As you know, we have 2 existing long-term care facilities in Virginia for veterans. There's one right here in Richmond, the Center and Barfoot Veterans Care Center that's adjacent to the McGuire VA Medical Center. That's a 200-bed facility, and we also have a 240-bed facility in Salem, Virginia, in Roanoke, right next to the Salem VA Medical Center there. We're going to open 2 new care centers. On October 26th, we are going to have a ribbon cutting, groundbreaking, I should say. I keep saying ribbon cutting, I'm jumping ahead a few years.
Yes, all right.
Groundbreaking in Northern Virginia, Fauquier County to be exact, where we're going to build a 128-bed facility. We're going to call it the Polar Veterans Care Center. And on November 1st, we're going to have a groundbreaking in Virginia Beach, the city of Virginia Beach, at the Jones and Cabacoy Veterans Care Center, groundbreaking on November 1st. So we're excited to continue to help our veterans when it comes to medical care, long-term care. And this is something that the Commonwealth of Virginia has stepped out on its own to do. As you may know, we've been waiting for well over a decade to build these 2 facilities. We did not get federal funds for it. The governor, in partnership with the General Assembly and Leader Cox, said, you know what, let's go ahead and put some money where our mouths are and put Virginia money to build these facilities, get them built, and support our veterans. That's what we're doing.
And on homelessness, I think that there's been a major effort to reduce that. What's your latest word on what?
Sure. So back in 2015, the governor and several other city leaders signed on to what was called the Mayor's Challenge to End Veterans Homelessness. And the objective was to functionally end veterans homelessness across the country and in these various jurisdictions. Virginia was the first, actually, to declare victory in saying that we have functionally ended veterans homelessness, and we made that declaration a couple years ago. What that means is, it does not mean that you won't see a homeless veteran on a corner. What it does mean is, when you see that veteran and you connect that veteran to our services here in Virginia, we're going to get them quickly housed with permanent housing within a very short period of time. We're the first state in the nation that can lay claim to that, certified by HUD, and we're doing it right now. Since October 2015, we've housed over 3,500 veterans permanently, which is a large number of veterans who have received services, housing services in Virginia, in partnership with our local continuum of care, Department of Housing, and other partners to help veterans get housing here in Virginia.
You know, I would think that the benefits offices probably fit into that a great deal too, because if you get the housing, unless there's some other services provided, someone could get housing and then become homeless even later. So I think as I looked on your website, we'll put the address up that people can go on that website. I think all the little spots that you see in the Commonwealth of Virginia, I believe they're noting where all the benefit offices are.
They are, and you're right. Homelessness is oftentimes tied, or pretty much exclusively tied, to a lack of resources, and also a need for perhaps behavioral health or mental health services all at the same time. Lots of things going on with a homeless veteran. So you're right, we have 29 offices across the Commonwealth of Virginia, benefits office that is. And what we like to do is, for all veterans, but particularly our homeless population, is get those men and women to our benefits offices, let them see what benefits they're entitled to by the federal VA, get those resources and help apply those resources towards their housing needs. Once they become permanently housed and move on to their own housing, additional support is needed going forward. So that's exactly where those benefits come into play.
And you mentioned, without really taking a pause, men and women.
Yes.
And I think that if we were having this conversation back when you were in active duty in the Air Force, there wouldn't have been that many women veterans in the Commonwealth, but that number certainly, in all indications, is growing.
It's a large number. Indeed, Virginia, we're very proud of this fact that we have the largest percentage by veteran population of women veterans. We have well over 725,000 veterans in Virginia, so that's a large number of women veterans in Virginia, and it's growing. And we were looking for partners. We already have a great partner with the federal Department of Veterans Affairs to address women's needs. I mean, right here in Richmond, where we sit, we have a great partnership with the McGuire VA Medical Center and their Women's Center to focus on the unique and specific needs of women veterans. In the Commonwealth, we're taking it upon ourselves to look for other more smart ways that we can reach out to the female veterans, let them know that you are welcome and we want to serve you here in Virginia, and to get them connected to all services that we provide, that the state and the federal level entities provide, so we can provide much needed services to a very deserving population.
When you mention that figure, over 700,000, it would indicate if you're walking down the street, or if you're in a cafeteria, if you're a place where you work, that must mean about 1 out of every 10 or 11 Virginians right now are veterans. That's
right. So when you're walking down the street in any part of Virginia, you know, nearly 1 out of every, just short of 1 out of every 10 persons walking around and that you meet is a veteran. Some parts of Virginia, probably 5 out of every 10 people you meet, and we're talking about the Hampton Roads area, the highest concentration of veterans in the nation. So Virginia has a great population of veterans with a lot of talent, a lot of dedication to service and country. But that's why we're here, to provide service to those individuals, to make sure they become part of the new Virginia economy, to help them help us as Virginia grows going forward into new arenas and into new technological areas and companies that are coming to Virginia. They're looking for these kind of people, employees. You heard the great announcement a few days ago with respect to Facebook. Other great announcements coming down the way with all the economic development that the governor is leading. Those companies are looking for a ready workforce, and what better workforce than the thousands and thousands of service members who are separating, who will be veterans. That's a key workforce that we're trying to support our companies with.
You know, I remember looking it up a few years ago, analyzing it by counties and cities, and the interesting thing to me was in some of the rural parts of the Commonwealth, in some parts of Southwest Virginia, the older veteran population, that those counties had 1 out of 9, 1 out of 8 that were veterans. I'm thinking there's probably, as people are coming out of service, that clearly Hampton Roads would probably always be near the top, but they are from past wars and past times of service. They're scattered throughout the Commonwealth.
They indeed are, and this is something that going into the next administration, that I'm going to recommend to the next administration that we concentrate on going forward, which is our veterans. I call them Charlottesville and West. And there are many, and there are many more coming. We want to be able to provide them with services there, just as we provide the concentrated amount of services in what I call the Golden Crescent, from Northern Virginia to Richmond, all the way over to Hampton Roads. Now, we do have presence out there in the western part of the state, but we can do more, and we can have more partners to help our veterans out there. But that is a constant focus that we have to maintain in order to bring those services to those individuals out there.
And probably places like the Eastern Shore, too,
Yes.
where the population, total population is not that large. The number of veterans and the more challenges of access of getting on to, getting into the main part of Hampton
I think you hit it
Roads.
on the head,
Yeah.
David. We have a great Veterans Benefits Office in Accomack, which, if you know, the Eastern
Excellent.
Shore is
Yes.
closer to the northern border with Maryland. And that office sees veterans not just from Virginia, but also from Maryland. Because of its geographic location, and the veterans that we see when they need medical care, that Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel is a challenge. And some veterans decide not to go south, but to go north up into Maryland to get their medical care. So it's an ongoing challenge for our veterans on the Eastern Shore, but we've spoken with this current administration, and hopefully we'll carry the conversation on with the following administration to say, hey, look, we need to make sure those veterans out there are getting the care they need, not just from the Commonwealth, but more importantly, from the Department of Veterans Affairs, trying to convince the VA to solve the problems of that bridge tunnel and the tolls that veterans have to pay and the amount of time it takes them to get there, and give them more options either on the Eastern Shore or just north across the border in Maryland for their medical care.
And someone with roots in Southwest Virginia, it's good that across the state line in West Virginia and Tennessee and Southwest Virginia that veterans care moves back and forth.
It does.
There, and the challenge there too with the lack of the kind of public transportation that we have in the metropolitan areas can make it difficult for, particularly I would think for older veterans, you know.
I think so, and all veterans, quite frankly. I mean, the transportation challenge is a real challenge the further west you go, and that is something we've identified. And we're hopefully the next year or so, David, you'll see hopefully some innovations in that space. We're looking for ways to partner with nonprofit and private sector entities to provide transportation options specifically to veterans, and we'll probably start with veterans who obviously need to get their medical care, get them to their medical care, and then from there expand transportation service to other veteran needs in the areas. But you're absolutely right. And it's not just veterans as you move further west, but it's all populations that you know firsthand, being from that area. But the veteran community particularly, you can go several hours without hitting a VA medical center.
Right.
And we need to help solve that problem.
Let's bring in another subject, education, public education in the Commonwealth or higher education. Always, it seems, a shortage of teachers.
Yes.
And I know there's an effort that's been underway from troop to teacher,
Yes.
troop to the classroom to try to get more veterans involved. Are you seeing what you think is some progress in that arena where veterans would be able to help?
I have. Indeed, just the past week I was in Williamsburg at William & Mary, and I was actually meeting with their troops to teachers cohort there, and the people leading that effort, led by a veteran, master's in education.
Oh, excellent.
And it's a population ripe for that kind of activity, teaching, especially for the younger veterans who are coming out now, who are looking for a way to continue to serve. And I tell all veterans, don't forget about the opportunity to teach. You have what it takes already. If you worn the uniform and you've done what you know you've done in service to your country, you can probably teach a few kids and probably provide a great example. So the Troops to Teachers effort is a great effort in partnership with all of our schools across Virginia. and the Secretary of Education and all of our staff that we want to continue to grow and develop, because there's some real opportunity there.
I've understood that there's sometimes challenges for veterans with school-age children and trying to get them placed into a school, and maybe they're in temporary housing, and then and school is starting, and I think there was some discussion about that last year, and no doubt there may be some more in the 2018 session coming up to try to figure what can be done to help those. It's really helping the children, even more than their parents, but help them get into school, because let's say you're living outside of the district where you're going to be moving. So is that a challenge that you see that from the secretariat level, the governor's level, in your office, that you all are looking at, see if something can be resolved?
It is, and indeed it's the garrison commanders and the base commanders who have come to us to ask for help on that subject. I mean, look, I was a military dependent. I moved 7 times, including once in my senior year of high school.
7 times.
So these are challenges to your point, the kids. And this administration and this secretariat is taking a look at ways to ameliorate that. I know there are some General Assembly members who have brought ideas to the Secretary and the Governor's office of what we can do. So hopefully this coming session or in sessions in the future, you'll see hopefully some solutions that are proposed and hopefully passed with the General Assembly to help the families and most importantly the children maintain some stability once they get into a district and not forced to move from one district to another when mom or dad has to relocate within the state, which is a very big burden.
Employment. Let's go back. We talked to them about teaching, but there's a V3 effort.
Virginia Values Veterans.
Yes. So how is that going? I know when we had a conversation a couple of years ago, it was really taking root and showing some real results. How is that working now?
It's going fantastic, David. And when this administration came on board, the Virginia Values Veterans program was started by the prior administration, and it had a great first start. When we came on board, it had hired through our partner companies about 5,000 veterans. While Governor McAuliffe issued several challenges, one right after the other, long story short, just a few weeks ago, we were proud to announce that we've hired over 26,000 veterans through our Virginia Values Veterans partners, our partners who have joined and made pledges to hire veterans, 26,000 veterans. The governor's now put another challenge out to me and my staff to have 30,000 veterans hired by the time he leaves office. We're working hard to do it. We're going to make it happen. But it's been a great partnership. And look, the Commonwealth of Virginia, we are not always the best expert when it comes to telling, quote unquote, a private sector company how to do their business. But what we can do is to bring them together to share best practices among themselves and also offer some private sector expertise as to how to target veterans, how to hire, train, and most importantly, retain veterans when they join their company. So it's been a great success. We're looking forward to even more success. And again, 30,000 hired by the time Governor McAuliffe's office is the challenge, and we're up to it.
That's not a long period of time.
No, it's not.
And so there's some people watching the show right now.
Yes.
They have companies, small or very large corporations.
Yes.
And if they haven't signed up, if they go on your website,
Yes.
then in order for you to help assist them in some ways that you were just saying, the companies need to sign up. Is that correct?
That is correct. They need to sign up. It's a very simple process. There's a special website, not just the agency website, but there's a particular website for the V3 program. It's www.dvsv3.com. That's Delta Victor Sierra Victor3.com. And you go right to that website. There's a quick button there and explaining how to sign up. And if they need help, give us a call and we'll help you do that.
We'll try to get that web address up too, but if they've gotten on your other site, I'm sure they can link to it.
Yes, they can.
They can get to
Absolutely.
it because that's a significant number. And with unemployment overall having dropped in the Commonwealth, then it creates even a greater challenge to get those veterans hired.
It does, and we're meeting that challenge in several ways. The Secretary of Technology and the Governor are really behind the cyber effort, as you know. There's a cyber vet effort where we're trying to get separating service members into the cyber community by providing training with partner companies to get their credentials in order to be cyber professionals. There are also efforts, as we already talked about, in troops for teachers, and other targeted efforts to get veterans into the workforce. One effort that we haven't talked about is our military medic and corpsman program. There are many Army medics and Navy corpsmen who have these specialized medical skills, and they come back and they try to get a job, and they can't. We have a program here in Virginia through the code that allows them to go work with one of our partner healthcare systems. So that's another way we can target specific skills that veterans have to provide employees for our private sector companies.
You mentioned Leader Cox at one time, the majority leader, or I think he's now called the Speaker Designee for the House of Delegates. And he is a Republican, many other Republicans and Democrats, that the support for veterans in the Commonwealth of Virginia and in the state legislature is not a partisan issue at all. And I think it's amazing the number of veterans who are serving in the General Assembly and in state agencies. And when I've looked at the figures in Congress, those have tapered off. It's not as many as there were at one time, percentage-wise, but the Commonwealth of Virginia, election comes, election goes, and we still have a significant number of veteran services.
We do, and thank you for raising that point. And the big takeaway I hope the audience takes from this is, Virginia looks at veterans as a veterans issue. It's not a Republican or Democrat issue. It's a veterans issue, and we have partners on all sides of the aisle that help us in this effort. We can't do it without them, and it's been a great success primarily because of that partnership, if you will. And I don't think we could have done what we've done without help from Leader Cox or on the Democratic side of the aisle. It's just been an amazing. Again, it's been a real honor for me to do this, and I've been blessed with this because we do have such great partnership to make this happen. I don't think any state in the nation has been able to successfully keep the veterans issue as apolitical as Virginia has. And it's partly because of the number of veterans we have in the General Assembly. And hopefully we'll get a few more here in the next several years. I think veterans add a unique dimension of leadership and experience and integrity that serves the General Assembly well, and that's exactly why you see it working so well right now.
As we in the public love to see people working together across party lines on issues, and I think it's worth highlighting even once more that in the care centers, that Democratic governor, Republican leadership in the House of Delegates, Republican and Democrat leadership in the House and the Senate all came together and said, we need to move ahead, build the care centers, and then we hope at some time in the future to be reimbursed by the part that the federal government would be paying, but they haven't come forward with the money, and as you said, over a decade. So let's do it. And it was something that I never heard an objection to that. No,
neither did I, thankfully. And I do want to give specific credit to Leader Cox, who has been part of the Commonwealth's effort for years to get more health care for veterans in Virginia. Indeed, just a few weeks ago, we were celebrating together at the Center and Barfoot Care Center, celebrating 10 years of service to veterans at their 10th anniversary. And Leader Cox told the story of how, again, for a better part of 12, 15 years, the Commonwealth's effort to get these two new care centers and the Commonwealth's determination that, we're not going to wait in the VA anymore, we're just going to do it. We have positioned ourselves to get reimbursed from the VA, so we're going through all the entire VA processes and applying through the pipeline to the VA to get reimbursed. So we're pretty confident we'll be able to do that, but we can't wait anymore. Healthcare is needed right now. We can't wait until the VA gives us the money. We just have to do it now.
Some people out there may be thinking, well, Leader Cox, as you referred to, he's a veteran. Veterans would be supportive, and they don't know that Kirk Cox is a recently retired school teacher.
Yes.
Not a veteran.
Yes.
And yet as passionate about veterans issues as any of the 30-some members of the General Assembly that are veterans.
Absolutely, and you would think that he was a veteran, but the way he has taken this issue with heartfelt support. Indeed, Leader Cox, I think, has a record for the highest number of pieces of veteran and military-related legislation of any legislator in the General Assembly. But he and the governor have been great teammates in helping advance the cause for veterans and serving veterans. And we're just so happy that we're able to do all the things we've done with the leadership of the governor, with the leadership of Leader Cox, and many others to make good things happen for Virginia veterans.
And Commissioner Newby,
yes.
We would not have gotten this without you and your service and your leadership too. So as we close the show, we really want to thank you and appreciate all that you have done and are doing on behalf of Virginia's veterans.
This is the best job I've had in my life. It's an honor to serve our veterans in Virginia. Myself being a veteran and being the son of a veteran, I've been military connected my entire life. And I look forward to doing much more.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This Week in Richmond is made possible in part by the Virginia Education Association. An investment in teachers today will pay dividends tomorrow. Dignity Memorial. The Dignity Network provides professional and compassionate funeral, memorial, cremation, and cemetery services throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. Virginia Hospital and Healthcare Association for jobs, the economy, and public health. Virginia Tourism Corporation, promoting why Virginia is for lovers, lovers of wine and craft beers, the outdoors, beaches, history, music, and more. Fall in love with Virginia at virginia.org. Additional support provided by these sponsors. And by the members of Virginia's public television stations. Thank you.